My name is Elise. I'm 29 years old. Until last month, I thought loyalty was the same thing as love. I believed sacrifice would be returned in kind. But I was wrong, and it cost me more than just time. It cost me my silence. After my mother passed, the house felt cavernous. Empty in the kind of way grief leaves behind, quiet, echoing, and unapologetically still. My grandparents had left it to me after they passed when I was 19. A small 2-bedroom in the old part of Mayfield, where porches still matter and people remember your name at the grocery store. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I worked 2 jobs back then, morning shifts at the clinic reception desk and late nights doing inventory at the pharmacy down the road. I barely kept up, but it paid the property taxes and kept my mother's oxygen machine running. I was 24 when she died. And after that, for the first time in years, I had a moment to breathe. But it didn't last. Tara, my younger sister by 4 years, called crying one night. Brad had lost another job, some construction gig he half-assed until he didn't show up one day. She had 2 babies now, Noah, 3, and Mia, still nursing. They were weeks from eviction. She didn't ask directly. She never did. She just cried. And I volunteered. Just like always. You can have the house, I said. Just until you guys get back on your feet. I moved into a shoebox apartment in downtown Louisville. It smelled like curry and wet carpet. But it was close to my new job at the hospital records department, and I told myself it was temporary. They moved in that weekend. I kept paying the property taxes and insurance. Tara was too overwhelmed, she said. They painted the living room a buttery yellow, swapped out the old fridge for a newer used one from Facebook Marketplace, and started calling it home. When I visited, I had to knock. I became the unpaid babysitter. The backup ride when Brad forgot daycare pickup. The one who floated Tara $200 for Noah's dental bill and spotted groceries more times than I can count. Every time I hesitated, Tara would say, "You're the responsible one, Elise. You're always the one we can count on." And I believed that was love. 5 years passed. I was there for every scraped knee, every tantrum, every desperate phone call. I watched the kids grow, and my resentment along with them. But I never said anything. Because I loved them. Because I thought that's what big sisters did. Then came the call. It was a Friday. I was eating takeout on the couch, still in scrubs. Tara called, her voice tight and excited. "We're doing something kind of huge," she said. "It's all happening fast, but we're buying the house." I sat up. "Buying what?" "The house. Brad's cousin is helping us with the financing. It's like a miracle. We're finally going to be homeowners, Elise. It's ours." I blinked. "Tara. That house is already owned. By me." There was a long silence. Then a fake laugh. "Well, yeah, but you haven't lived there in forever. And you always said it was for us. You told me to treat it like our home. Honestly, we thought you didn't even want it anymore. I mean, Brad's done so much work on it. You haven't paid anything in years." "I pay the property taxes and insurance every year," I said, cold suddenly washing over me. "It's still in my name." She paused again. "That's not what Brad's lawyer said." I got the paperwork in the mail 3 days later, an adverse possession claim. They were trying to steal the house from me legally. Claiming they had improved and occupied it without interruption for 5 years. That my abandonment made them the rightful owners. I felt hollow. A black, tight rage uncurled in my chest, sharp and acidic. I sat on my apartment floor and cried until my lungs gave out. Then I got up. I took a day off work and drove straight to the county records office. I pulled every tax receipt, every payment record, every email I'd sent Tara about letting them stay there. I called a real estate attorney. Expensive, but a friend from HR gave me a referral for a fighter. I filed an official counterclaim. I froze the house's title with a legal injunction. and then I made copies of everything. I wrote a letter, clear, unemotional, and precise, detailing what I had paid, what I had given, what I had sacrificed. I attached every receipt, every statement, and every date. Then I sent it to every member of our extended family, the ones who only saw the kind, struggling mom version of Tara. I didn't editorialize. I let the facts speak. Tara showed up at my job. Unannounced. Security almost didn't let her in. "You're blowing this out of proportion," she hissed in the hallway, tears streaming down her face. "You're ruining our lives. You're tearing this family apart." "No," I said calmly. "You did that when you tried to steal from me. And you thought I wouldn't fight back." The court ruled in my favor. The claim was thrown out. Their adverse possession was invalidated by the property tax trail and the paper evidence of my written permission. They were given 30 days to vacate. Brad left Tara 2 weeks after that. Apparently, he never signed up for legal drama. She's staying with a friend now. The kids, well, I see them when I can. I never wanted to punish them. But I can't let them believe betrayal goes unanswered. I moved back into the house last weekend. It still smells like lemon cleaner and crayons. I found Noah's drawing taped behind the pantry door, me with a cape, labeled Andy. I cried again. But this time it was cleansing. I keep my boundaries like locks. I still love my sister, but I've learned to love myself more. Because here's what no one tells you about giving: if you never stop, they'll never start. They say blood is thicker than water. But even blood thins when it's always being drawn from the same vein. And I'm done bleeding for people who only take. They say illness brings clarity. That when your body breaks, your priorities sharpen. But clarity doesn't come in a beam of light, it comes in slow drips. Like water leaking beneath your floorboards. You don't realize you're sinking until the ground gives out beneath you. I turned 32 in February, in a hospital gown under fluorescent lights, staring at my own reflection in a TV screen that wasn't even on. 2 months earlier, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, systemic lupus. Manageable, they said. It flares, it fades. But you need rest. You need care. You need people. I had no one. At first, I tried to keep going. I reduced my hours at the hospital. I scheduled appointments. I told myself I was strong, because I had to be. But some mornings, my joints ached so badly I could barely brush my teeth. I lay in bed, clutching heat packs, hoping someone, anyone, might ask how I was really doing. That's when I reached out to Tara. I hated asking for help. But I wasn't looking for a handout, just a place to sleep, close to family. My old guest room still had my bed, my books, my comforter. I thought maybe, for a few weeks, I could recover in the home I'd once given away. Her reply came over text. "I just don't think it's a good time with the kids and everything. Mia's in dance, Noah's got this thing every weekend. I'm sure you'll figure it out like you always do. Love. Like you always do." Those words sat in my gut like acid. I stared at the message for a full hour before responding. Then I didn't. Nathan, my boyfriend of nearly a year, came over with a bag of my things and a weak smile. He said he didn't have the bandwidth for what I was going through. That it was too much emotional weight for a relationship this early. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just stood in my doorway in my bathrobe, nodding. "Take care of yourself, okay," he said. "You too," I answered, and I meant it, but not the way he wanted. That night, my fever spiked. I fainted in the kitchen and woke up in the ER with an 4 in my arm and no emergency contact listed. I was hospitalized for 6 days. Tara didn't visit. Not once. I was eating dry toast when my neighbor, Mrs. Klein, texted me a photo. She said she wasn't trying to be nosy, but, did I know about the trucks? The photo showed a massive flatbed in my front yard. A crew of men were unloading drywall and ceramic tile. The front windows were taped over with plastic. I stared at the photo for 5 minutes before calling Tara. She answered cheerfully, like we'd just spoken. "Oh, hey. Yeah, we're finally updating the kitchen. It's been a nightmare cooking in that old thing. You wouldn't believe how hard it is to make this place feel like ours. Mine. Still mine. Legally, permanently. And she knew that." "I never gave you permission," I said flatly. She huffed. "It's just cosmetic stuff, Elise. Chill. Brad's cousin gave us a deal. And it's not like you've done anything with the house since you moved back in." "I haven't done anything because I've been sick. You know that." There was silence on the line. Then a scoff. "You're always sick now. It's exhausting." I hung up. I was back home, weaker, but angrier than I'd been in years. I shuffled through the mail stacked by my door. A contractor's invoice had been accidentally sent to me instead of Tara. $13,400. Cabinets, countertops, demo work. My address. My name. I called my lawyer. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I gathered. Permits had been filed under Tara's name, but without the owner's consent, they were invalid. I sent a cease and desist through legal channels. The construction had to stop immediately. And I filed a formal police report for unauthorized entry and property damage. I didn't want to press charges, not yet, but I needed it documented. Then I changed the locks. The kitchen sits half done. Stripped drywall, exposed beams. A mess of ambition and arrogance. Tara hasn't come by. She's texted a few times, mostly guilt bombs. "The kids don't understand why you're acting like this. You've changed, Elise." She's right. I have. I don't answer anymore. I hired a property manager. She's helping me convert the house into a rental, fully documented, no family exceptions. I need the income and I need the boundary. The guest room is still mine. I sleep there on the bad days. And I'm slowly learning that being loved and being used can look the same, until you're no longer useful. There's a particular kind of heartbreak that doesn't look like crying. It looks like walking into the house you grew up in and not recognizing a single thing. It looks like being spoken to like an outsider, on land you once watered with your own hands. That's the kind of heartbreak that doesn't scream. It just stands there, and watches the last thread snap. I didn't tell anyone I was coming back early. The treatment in Chicago had helped. Fewer flare-ups. More clarity. A better understanding of my body, and what it needed. I stayed 3 weeks longer than planned, but the house was calling me. Or maybe, some stubborn part of me still believed there was something left to salvage inside it. I arrived just after noon. The front door paint was different, charcoal gray instead of the soft cream I'd known. The hedges were overgrown, and the new wreath on the door was something Tara would have picked, glittery, overdecorated, and seasonal to a fault. I still had a key. I let myself in. And stopped. The living room was almost unrecognizable. My grandmother's floral wallpaper, gone. Replaced by shiplap. The built-in shelves had been torn out. The hardwood floors had been sanded and bleached. The antique oak table that had stood in the entryway for 40 years, gone. In its place was a modern, plastic console with a bowl of fake lemons. From the kitchen, I heard footsteps. Tara walked in holding a tumbler of iced coffee, sunglasses perched on her head. She froze for half a second, just half, and then tilted her head with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Well. Since you're here, could you watch the kids while I meet with the contractor?" "No hello. No, what are you doing here?" Just a reflexive shrug toward convenience. I looked around. "Where's Grandma's table?" Tara blinked. "That old thing? It was falling apart. Brad donated it weeks ago." My jaw didn't move. I simply asked, "Did you ask me first?" "Seriously, Elise?" She rolled her eyes. "You've been gone for months. You didn't even tell us when you were coming back. I didn't know I needed to ask permission. She exhaled sharply, clearly irritated. We've lived here 5 years. We made this house a home. You've never even lived here. There it was. The sentence that made the air shift. I turned slowly and looked at the wall where our family photos used to hang. In their place were new portraits, Brad, Tara, the kids. I wasn't in a single one. My voice was flat. Where are my things? The garage, Brad called from behind me. I hadn't heard him come in. What we didn't donate, anyway. Most of it was just, old stuff. He said it like a favor. I didn't reply. I walked past them, opened the door to the garage. It smelled of mildew and paint thinner. My belongings, boxed, dented, covered with a stained tarp, were stacked along the wall like trash waiting for pickup. There was an eerie calm inside me. No rage. No panic. Just detachment. Like watching someone else's disaster in slow motion. I turned back into the house and faced Tara. When exactly did you decide this house was yours? She didn't flinch. Instead, she smiled. Cold. Measured. When you left. And stopped acting like it mattered. I didn't sleep there. I packed what I could fit in my car, called a friend who had always offered me her guest room, and left. I didn't slam a single door. I didn't shout. I didn't say goodbye. I left a note on the fridge. This house was always mine. You knew that. You made your choices. Now I'll make mine. The eviction notice was served. Not by me. By the property manager I hired while I was in Chicago. Everything was done by the book. 30 days notice. No hostility. No negotiation. They tried to call. I didn't answer. Tara left a voicemail sobbing, about the kids, about betrayal, about how I'd changed. And maybe I had. Because I didn't feel guilty. Not even a little. I'm staying in a quiet part of town. My friend's guest room has a soft blue quilt and a view of the city. I get up slowly, drink tea instead of coffee, and go to therapy once a week. I talk about boundaries. About dignity. About choosing peace over guilt. The house is empty now. The property manager sent me photos. It looks bare, but honest. Mine again. I haven't decided if I'll move back in. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. But I know one thing with more certainty than I've ever known anything. I am not a guest in my own life anymore. Some people think power is loud. That strength is something shouted across a room. But I've learned the real strength is quieter than that, it's in the moment you choose not to argue. When you smile, excuse yourself, and make a single call that changes everything. After Tara's words, "You never even lived here," I didn't cry. I didn't raise my voice. I just smiled. A small, tired smile. Then I turned around, stepped outside onto the porch, and pulled out my phone. The sky was overcast, the air thick with the threat of rain. Somewhere behind me, Brad muttered something I didn't catch. I didn't care. I scrolled to the number I hadn't used in months. Margot Fine, Real Estate and Estate Law. She'd helped me once before, when Tara tried to claim the house through that absurd adverse possession claim. After that, I'd kept her on retainer. Something told me I might need her again. She picked up on the second ring. "Elise," she said, voice brisk and steady. "I've been expecting your call." I didn't have to explain much. She remembered the house. The players. The passive-aggressive trespass that had escalated into entitled occupation. "There's no lease," I confirmed. "No written agreement. Just a history of abuse." She paused. "Then let's take it back. Quietly. Properly. We'll give them 30 days to vacate. But if they contest, we can expedite. It's your name on every document." "I want it done clean," I said. No drama. Just facts. You'll have papers by Monday. Tara called me in a panic. I let it ring 4 times before I picked up. Elise, what the hell is this? We got a notice, an eviction notice. Are you serious right now? I sat on the edge of the bed, still in my robe, the soft hum of my tea kettle behind me. Yes, I said simply. Her voice cracked. You're actually kicking your own family out of the house? Elise, the kids. I cut her off, not cruelly, but finally. I gave you 5 years, Tara. I asked for 1 week. And you chose not to be my family. She went quiet. I could hear her breathing. And then the switch, like she always did when she couldn't guilt me into something. You're punishing us. For what? For making this house livable? For treating it like a home when you didn't want it anymore? I sighed. Not with weariness, but with release. No, I said. You're not being punished. You're being released. From the illusion that you were entitled to me. To my silence. To my property. To my care. Elise. You need to be out in 30 days. I'm not negotiating. Goodbye. I hung up. And I never picked up again. The house was returned to me. Empty. Cleared. The stripped kitchen still showed signs of their half-hearted renovation, the butcher block counters were uneven, and the backsplash they tried to install had started peeling. But it was mine again. Quiet, battered, but mine. Margot handled everything. There was no lawsuit. No media-worthy standoff. Just a firm, legal reclamation. Like drawing a boundary in steel. Some family members called, some expressing disappointment, others quietly whispering that they were proud of me. I didn't need their opinions. I'd already found my peace. Brad, from what I heard, took the kids and left for his mother's place 2 counties over. Tara moved in with a friend. They've gone quiet. And that silence has been the kindest gift they've ever given me. Now. The house breathes differently. I'm taking it 1 room at a time. No rush. No deadlines. Just care. I've started sanding the floors again myself, slow work, but satisfying. I kept one thing of Tara's, a small framed photo of Mia and Noah from a school play. It sits on my nightstand. I don't keep it out of sentiment. I keep it as a reminder, love isn't obligation. Love isn't silence. Love, to mean anything, has to be mutual. People talk about healing like it's a sunrise, sudden, brilliant, whole. But it's not. It's the slow work of hands in the dirt. It's painting over nail holes, patching drywall. It's letting silence stretch across an afternoon and not rushing to fill it. It's learning to live in your own company, and liking who you find there. I moved back in during spring. The house was in rough shape. The kitchen was half finished, and the walls carried bruises, scuffs, holes, a few dents in the baseboards from when Mia used to ride her scooter inside. But it was mine. And for the first time in years, I could feel it again, its pulse. Its breath. The way it exhaled with the wind through the front windows. I started small. I sanded down what was left of my grandmother's hutch, now chipped and water-stained from the garage. I repainted it with a muted teal she would have hated, but I loved it. I planted zinnias where Tara had poured concrete for a grill that never got used. The petals opened like little mouths, bright and insistent. I opened the windows every morning. I cooked quietly, for one. It was enough. A letter came in the mail, addressed in messy, careful handwriting. Aunt Elise. I miss you. I don't know why we don't see you anymore. Mom says you're mad, but I think you're just tired. I hope you come to my next play. Love. Mia. I sat with the letter for an hour. Later that evening, another arrived, this one from Noah. Shorter. Scribbled on lined paper. Do you still have that blanket we made? The green one? I miss you. I cried. And then I wrote back. Simple, warm letters. I told them I loved them, that I missed them too. I didn't talk about their parents. I just talked about flowers blooming, cookies I'd baked, the old quilt still folded on my couch. They wrote again the next week. It was enough. Tara called. Not to apologize. Not exactly. She wanted to clear the air. Said she thought we'd gotten carried away on both sides. That the kids were confused. That maybe we could all just move on. I didn't hang up. I didn't yell. I just said, I hope you're doing okay. When she pressed, when her voice tilted, when she laced her words with guilt, with little digs, I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I just kept my tone soft and even. Tara, I'm not angry anymore. But I won't reopen wounds just to make you more comfortable. She scoffed. You think this makes you better than us? No, I said gently. Just different. And that was the last time we spoke. The house is full again. Not with family, but with life. I started a small home bakery, just a few custom orders at first, then a weekend booth at the farmer's market. My cinnamon rolls are the best sellers. I renamed them Mia's Swirls, though she doesn't know that yet. People come and go. Friends I hadn't seen in years started drifting back in. I had a quiet dinner last week, 6 people, laughter in the kitchen, someone brought wine that tasted like summer. The walls are painted soft green now. There are shelves of cookbooks, thrifted mugs, herbs drying in bunches from the window frame. Above the stove, in a reclaimed frame from the garage, hangs a note I wrote to myself in the thick of it all. You don't owe anyone your peace. But you deserve to live in it. I still get letters from the kids. Sometimes drawings. They come with little bits of their lives, Mia's playbill, Noah's science fair ribbon. I send back care packages, homemade cookies, bookmarks, a knitted hat or two. I don't cross the boundary. But I leave the door open. Just a crack. Because some love isn't about return. It's about dignity. And I've learned how to love from a distance without setting myself on fire. I didn't rebuild the house I lost. I built something better. A home with locked doors, soft lighting, and open windows. A space for quiet joy. For a chosen family. For a woman who finally stopped bending. Because surviving is one thing. But living, really living, that's a home worth fighting for.